Today, I want to share with you how I've scaled now two different coaching businesses in very different niches to over 20K per month with one offer, no team, no setters, no VA, and zero sales calls. It's the exact same system I've used to help dozens of other coaches add 5, 10, 15K per month to their income over the past 8 months as well. So if you're new to my world and that all sounds crazy or insane to you, or if you're skeptical, I don't blame you. I get it. I'm not making this video here to prove anything or to try to convince you of anything. I simply want to make this video to share with you what has worked for me, what's currently working for my clients to generate multiple six figures per year as an online coach in the simplest way possible. And I'm not going to do any fancy slideshow here or any crazy editing. There's no script. It's just me giving you a roadmap to get you from wherever you're at right now and to take your business from where it's at right now to around 250K per year, which is about an average run rate of like 21K per month if we break it down like that. But before we jump in, I want to kind of give everybody that's watching this a quick little, a big disclaimer here. So the business model that I'm going to walk you through in this video here is extremely simple, but it takes time to build and create momentum in it. So if you're looking for a get rich quick scheme, just fuck off because this is not for you. But if you're looking to build a real, lasting, sustainable business that you can actually love and enjoy working with for the next 5, 10 years of your life, and if you're willing to be patient and put in the effort to get there and build it the right way, then stick around because I think you're going to be in for a treat. Now, to start, I want to tell you how I used to run my previous coaching business when I first started, which is what I used to hit my first ever 20K month years ago, back in, it would have been late 2020, early 2021 when that first 20K month happened. And I want to tell you about why I decided to make a big shift in 2022 and why I can never go back to the old way. So I started playing this whole online business game back in 2018, January, February 2018. And I built the business that everybody told me to do, right? I built it the way that every guru kind of preached was the only way to build a high ticket coaching business. So I tried to make all my content go viral. I hired a VA to spam DM anybody who breathed near me or near my content. I pushed everybody to a sales call. I aggressively persuaded people to buy with endless objection handling until they either bought on the phone or hung up on me, and just rinse and repeat. And I stuck with that model for 4.5 years or so. And the sad part is that it kind of worked. Like I said, that got me to my first ever 20K month, but it didn't come without a cost. So to make all that happen, and over those 4.5 years, I was working 10 to 12 hour days. I was spending 15 to 20 hours every single week on sales calls. I was on a constant content hamster wheel, posting 4 to 6 times a day on 4 different platforms. I had over 100 active clients who were honestly mostly a pain in the ass because I pushed them to buy when they weren't ready to join. And all that combined together just made me extremely stressed out of my mind. I was riddled with anxiety every single day, and I had zero freedom in my business. And that's when I realized that the profits that I was getting weren't worth sacrificing my life for. So in mid 2022, I essentially decided to burn all that down and build it up again from the ground up. And I didn't care if I was going to lose money. I didn't care if it was going to cost me a bunch of profit. I just wanted my time and my peace and my freedom back. So I decided to make a few major shifts in my business. I fired my assistant, my VA. I stopped doing sales calls. I stopped posting on multiple platforms, and I went all in on Instagram, and I raised my prices. And along with that, it wasn't just the actions that I changed. I set a few guiding principles or a guiding philosophy for myself and for my business that I committed to sticking to with all my business growth going forward. So I committed to optimizing for peace over profits, building a business around my lifestyle first, prioritizing systems over tactics, and lastly, most importantly, is that simple scales, complex fails. And I've used these guiding principles to create what I now call the freedom funnel, which is the business model that I've ran for the past few years now, and the same model that I now teach other coaches so that they can build their version of a freedom business, whatever that means to them. And with this big shift, to my honest surprise, I didn't lose money or decrease my profits. Before I made these big shifts, I had a couple of random 20K months, but for the most part, it was completely volatile. Every single month was up and down. I kind of varied or ranged between like 7K per month all the way up to like 16K per month with those couple of random 20K months sprinkled in between. But after this change, with the new business model that I shifted to, that I've been running, I haven't had a single month under 20K since October of 2022. And my profit margins actually increased since I've done it solo now. I got rid of my VA. I have no team at all. It's literally just me running this business by myself. And the best part is, in my opinion anyways, is that it truly is a freedom business now. So instead of hustle and grinding 10 plus hour days, I usually only work 3, 4, 5 hours a day for like 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, but that's it. Now, I'll give you an example of what this freedom business means to me in a tangible way. So my wife is from Brazil. A couple of years ago, I guess it was, in 2023, she wanted to fly home to see her parents over Christmas of 2022 and then New Year's of 2023. And she wanted me to go with her. So in my previous coaching business, it was in the fitness niche. So if you know anything about the fitness industry at all, you know that January is by far the biggest month to sign new clients because everyone's setting New Year's resolutions. They hate themselves because they ate like an asshole for the entire month of December. So January is just a very high profit month for everybody in the fitness industry. And with my old business model, before I made the big shift, there would be no way that I would even consider even thinking about taking a 3-week vacation in the biggest month of the year because I would have lost out on tons and tons of cash. However, at that point when we decided to go on that vacation, it was after I had made all these big shifts in my business. I had basically built my business from the ground up with freedom first. And because of that, I only needed to work a couple hours per day at most. So while I was in Brazil, enjoying the beach and the beautiful weather, I had one of my best ever cash collected months ever to that date, making over $27,000. And this was possible because of the systems I had in place, because of the freedom funnel that I'm going to show you today how you can implement into your business. So let's shift gears now. Let's get a little tactical and I'll show you exactly how this works. Now, I want to start off with the very simplest explanation first. Then we're going to expand on the systems that actually make it possible. So if we were to pull everything in the freedom funnel down to the bare foundations, this is really all you need to do to see results and to scale with this model here. We have one simple ad running, which brings in leads on autopilot every single day. We make one daily post on social media with a call to action. We send one email per day to our list with an offer to work with us. And we have one simple offer document that lets leads become clients. That's it. All of the other systems and strategies and tools I use are simply there to make these 4 steps here work more effectively. So that's the foundation. Those are the bare bones action steps that you need to scale. Now let's dig a little bit deeper and we'll go over the 5 core systems that make this system work. So I'm going to pop a little picture up here. This right here is the Freedom Funnel business model. So every single system here is meant to simplify your business growth, allowing you to scale without sacrificing your time, energy, or peace. So within this model here, there's essentially 5 key systems I use: the Cult Branding Blueprint, the Daily Client Machine, the Conversion Content Ecosystem, the Sell by Chat system, and the Ascension Offers. Now, you might notice that there's actually 6 boxes here. That's just because the email sales engine there is actually part of the content ecosystem. It's, in my opinion, it's just so important that I pull it out and I focus on it separately as if it were its own system. So I'm going to walk you through each of these, 6 systems here, and I'll explain how each of them work and why they're so important to this business model here. So starting with system number 1, the Daily Client Machine. So this is by far the best lead generation tool or strategy or system that I've ever found to date. So what it does is it uses simple Instagram ads, or what I call follower ads, to grow your audience and bring in ready to buy leads at the same time. So what this does is it gives you an immediate return on ad spend within the first month, but it also compounds and snowballs over time as you nurture the leads who are not ready to buy yet, which means the longer you run it, the more money you make and the more profitable it becomes. Now, big question, why would we use ads? Why even bother paying for ads when we can just use organic growth for free? So the thing is that organic growth or organic content can work great in some situations, but it requires an element of luck and often a lot of skill and practice as well. The other issue with organic content is that it relies on algorithms to work, which are completely out of your control. Ads, on the other hand, are predictable and controllable. You pay money to get a predetermined amount of traffic or eyeballs on your content, and you're able to reach the audience that you want every single time. So, in my opinion, if you don't have a predictable, controllable lead generation system, you don't really have a business. You're just kind of playing the lottery. And I'm sure you know that the odds of winning the lottery are probably not in your favor. Same thing if you're only relying on organic content. Your odds of winning or scaling your business are not really in your favor. Now, the great thing with this type of ads here is they are practically require zero skill. I've had clients start using the system. They've never run ads in their life before. They launch their first ad and it's an absolute winner immediately, which starts filling their DMs with qualified leads within 24 to 48 hours after they've been struggling with organic content for 5+ years. So with follower ads, this ad system that I use here, the Daily Client Machine, people will typically start off in their first month getting a return on ad spend of about 3 to 5x. So what that means is for every $1 they spend, they'll typically earn back somewhere in the range of $3 to $5 within that first month or so. For example, if somebody spent, let's say $500 on ads their first month, they would expect to get back $1,500 to $2,500 in that first month, if my math is correct there. So that's where it starts. And then of course, like I said, it's going to snowball over time. Typically what I see is after about 6 months, if you leave the system running, your follower ads running, and you have all these other systems that we're going to talk about dialed in as well, over about 6 months, most people are seeing about 10 to 15 return on ad spend. So if you spend $10, you get 10 to 15 times return back on that, right? And that just scales up with however much you spend. If you're spending $10 a day, that's $300 per month. You times it by 10, you're getting, what is that? $3,000 to $4,500 return on ad spend kind of thing, right? So you can start small wherever you're at, with whatever kind of budget you have. You can go as little as $5 a day and then just kind of scale up your budget as you have more income coming in, as you're signing more clients. You just dump a little bit more of it back into your ad spend and your profits scale up with it along the way. So it's extremely simple, it's predictable, it's controllable. This is by far the best strategy for lead generation and, in my opinion, the most simple too. So that's system number one. System number two is the Cult Branding Blueprint. And honestly, this isn't really so much a system itself as it is more of a framework or a plan that allows us to integrate branding into everything else that we do within the business. So it's essentially the marketing plan for your entire business as well. So what exactly is the Cult Branding Blueprint? So what it is for, it is meant to solve the biggest problem in the coaching industry, which is standing out from the crowd. Now, for years, call it even decades now, people have basically tried to compete with each other by trying to position themselves or their business or their program as the better option or the best option compared to their competition. They would make bigger promises, they would try to sell faster results, and the claims just kind of got bigger and bigger. Everyone's just inflating these claims year after year, so to the point it's kind of ridiculous now, right? And now everyone just kind of sounds the same, everyone's making the same bigger and bigger claims, and the promises are just getting unbelievable. So the Cult Branding Blueprint is meant to solve this problem, and it is a strategy that we use to radically differentiate ourselves from the competition, from the status quo in your niche or your market or your industry, so that people start paying attention to you. Right? The goal with this system here, with the Cult Branding Blueprint, is to create a category of one for you and your brand that makes your competition irrelevant, so you don't get compared to them anymore, so that you don't have to start competing with their promises, their claims, their prices. You are in your own little category. There's no comparison, there's no competition, it's just you. And the reason this is so important is because prospects don't care about those big claims anymore. They've heard it all, they're looking for something new, they're looking for something different that they haven't heard before 1,000 times already before, right? So if you don't find a way to separate yourself from the crowd or stand out, nothing else matters. That's why this is so important, and this is why we want to turn our brand into a cult. So that's system strategy number two. Next system, number three, is the conversion content ecosystem. So by my estimation, rough estimations here, I've posted over 6,500 pieces of content over the past 7 years. Like I mentioned before, I used to post on 4 different platforms. I was posting 4 to 6 times a day, over and over again, every single day. So that content adds up very quickly. And over those 7 years now I've been playing the business game, I have grown an audience to over 427,000 followers, including my previous business as well. And I've learned a hell of a lot about content and content marketing along the way. And the most important lesson that I've learned is that the old way of content marketing just doesn't work anymore. Things are changing in the online business space, especially in the coaching world. So it used to be that you could just post a few 30-second reels, go viral, get some followers, and some of them would buy after just finding you online a few days ago. Sadly, those days of easy client conversions are gone. So the reason, there's kind of two big problems here, and why this shift in the industry has happened. So there's two big problems that we have to solve. Problem number one is that trust is lower. Skepticism is higher online in the coaching space, especially because there's more and more people entering the space, more and more people selling stuff, especially now with the explosion of AI content, which is making content generation very easy to just enter any space online. Right? So there's more competition than ever. There's more content than ever before, and people just don't know who to trust or believe anymore. On top of that, the algorithms on most social media platforms, especially Instagram, so the way they work now is it's kind of like a big For You platform, kind of the way that TikTok started. All the other platforms are following suit, which means that they're primarily only showing your content to new people rather than the people who actually follow you, which means that staying in front of your audience is more difficult than ever before. So the solution to this is that we need to build a complete ecosystem of content to keep people in our world long enough that we can actually nurture them until they're ready to buy. And that's just not possible if we're only using short form content anymore like we used to. Problem number two that we need to solve is that the way most coaches run their business, the way that I used to run my business, the old way, and the way that most gurus still teach people to run their business, doesn't work with the kind of business model that we're trying to run or we're trying to build here with the Freedom Funnel. So most coaching businesses use what I call a sales-focused model. So in a sales-focused model, the content that they're putting out on social media, it doesn't really matter all that much. The only purpose of content is to get attention, to pull people to a sales call, right? You put out as much content as you can, you try to go as viral as possible so you get as much eyeballs and engagement on your content so you can just spam DM all these people, push a percentage of them to a sales call and convert people, right? It's a numbers game that just causes a lot of time wasting and a lot of stress, right? So that is a sales focused business where it is the sales call that drives the growth of the business, not so much the content itself, right? Now, that doesn't work for us because we don't have the sales call to do all the heavy lifting in the business anymore, right? We're selling in the DMs or through email, so we need a different solution, a better solution, right? So what we are doing here with the Freedom Focused business is we are trying to get our content to pre-sell leads before they even see our offer. So what we need to do is we need to build a marketing focused business rather than a sales focused model, right? So what that means is that our content is responsible for doing all the heavy lifting for us, and it has to make the lead ready and wanting to buy before we actually present our offer to them, right? So that means that we need a content ecosystem with multiple touch points and different types of content to take the prospect from cold to sold so we can sell in the DMs or directly through email. So what we do is we use our Instagram profile basically as a landing page. We pull people to the landing page with our daily client machine, right? We have that right now on autopilot all the time. It's bringing in new leads every single day. Then from our Instagram profile, we push people to our sniper content, our Instagram stories, our email list, and to our lead magnets. And when done correctly, all of these different parts or pieces of this ecosystem here link back to each other as well. So it gets people kind of going in a circle round and round our world, getting nurtured very, very quickly by our content rather than just getting lost in the algorithm like what typically happens if you're only using Instagram Reels, hoping that that's going to nurture your leads, right? So this ecosystem here, it creates an extremely good system for capturing attention and taking those leads from cold to sold very quickly. So if you're only relying on Reels to try and bring in leads and rely on that to also convert them into clients, it's just not going to work anymore. You need some sort of ecosystem to keep people in your world and to hold that attention, or you're just playing a losing game. So that's system number 3. Lastly, system number 4 is the email sales engine. So like you just saw there, the email sales engine is actually part of the content ecosystem, but I want to talk about separately to really stress the importance and the value of building this system into your business. Now, I want to share 2 quick stories to demonstrate that with you. So firstly, like I mentioned, I had 427,000 followers in my previous business across Instagram and TikTok combined. But my email list for that previous business was a tiny 11,800 or so subscribers. If we did a little bit of math there, that's about 2.7% the size of my total audience. But with it being so small, it was still responsible for about 52 to 55% of my client sales and revenue every single month from my email list, right? That means that every single email subscriber was 39 times more valuable than any single social media follower, right? Because the reason that the email list is so much more valuable is because when you build up a social media audience, especially as it gets bigger and bigger, it's very likely that if somebody follows you, they might never ever see your content again with the way that the algorithm works. But with email, when you hit send, every single subscriber on that email list gets that email in their inbox every time, right? So it just such a more reliable system to get your content in front of your leads on a consistent, reliable basis. It is predictable and controllable, right? Just like we're trying to optimize predictability and controllability for our lead generation with the Daily Client Machine, we want to optimize for predictability and controllability with our content ecosystem as well, and email is the best way to do that. So, story number 2 is kind of a bit of a horror story. So hopefully I don't freak you out too much here, but this is a reality of what happens to a lot of people. So one morning in early 2024, about a year and a half ago or so, I opened up my Instagram app and all I saw was a very terrifying message that said, "We have suspended your account or the activity within it did not follow our community guidelines." That was it. No explanation, no details, no chance to appeal, no support to reach out to, no way to get it back. 131,000 followers that were on my Instagram, just gone. Thankfully, like I mentioned, I had an email list of almost 12,000 people. So my business did not die overnight with my Instagram profile. But this is the reality of what can happen to anybody. And I've heard this happening a lot more often now than it even happened a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, right? So I want you to think for a moment, if your Instagram account got the big scary delete button tonight, what would happen to your business tomorrow? If you want a safety net for your business, you need an audience that you own, that you have control over. So you better start building an email list right now if you haven't already. And if you want an extremely profitable marketing channel where you can reliably reach and contact your best quality leads on a daily basis, you better start building an email list right now. So this is why I put such high importance on email marketing and have it as basically one of the core systems of my business. Even though it's part of the ecosystem, it's its own separate system that we use and put a lot of effort into as well because it's so powerful. So that's the email sales engine. Lastly, I want to talk about the sell by chat system and the Ascension offers together. So the sell by chat system essentially has 2 parts. The Ascension offer is basically the back end of the sell by chat system, right? It is the structure of our coaching program on the back end. So that's part 1. Part 2 is the actual sales system that we use to get clients or convert clients from a lead into a paying customer. So let's talk about Ascension offers first, because the sell by chat system doesn't really work without the Ascension offer as well. So how the Ascension offer works is we essentially just have one single offer, which we have different levels of access throughout the offer itself. So there's basically just different tiers inside the same offer or inside the same program. So tier number 1 is community or group coaching program. So this is generally, in most cases, going to be the only public facing program that you have available. So your followers, your subscribers, your leads, they don't really know that you have a private coaching program available, right? So it makes it very easy for them to either make a decision to join you because there's only one option, right? They don't have to choose between multiple options. Oh, I don't know what's best for me. Should I do this? Should I do that? One option. This is for you or it's not. Simple as that. Now, with this front-end offer, you typically want to sell this for a mid-ticket price, right? Not too low, not too high, just kind of in the Goldilocks range. And here's probably the most shocking part of this that I think is going to confuse people. So what I have found works best for this front-end offer is offering weekly pricing, not monthly pricing, but weekly pricing for 3 reasons. Number 1, it just makes it so much easier to sell when someone can get started for a very small weekly payment, right? Like if we're talking like a mid-ticket program and then we break that into weekly pricing, it's going to be a very small payment for them to make first, to make that first step and get into momentum with you and with your business. So it just makes them very easy to get people in the door, right? Reason number 2, you're going to have much fewer failed payments because if people don't have to have hundreds or even thousands of dollars in their bank account at payment time, it's going to be much easier for those payments to actually process. And if you've run a business for a while and you've had large amounts of clients, you know that one of the most frustrating and annoying things is having to chase after your clients for failed payments all the time because you're trying to hit their bank account with $300, $400, $500 payments every single month. People just don't always have that in their bank account. But if you break down a mid-ticket program into weekly payments, it's much easier to never have those payments miss. So less stress, less frustration, less chasing after clients to get them to pay their bills. Number 3, most importantly, it builds a huge base of recurring revenue so that you don't have to start every month at zero. You don't even have to start every week at zero, right? You're going to have constant and consistent cash flow coming into the business almost daily. Now, the reason I love that last point there is because I love consistency and sustainability. I don't like to see my Stripe account go back to zero at the start of the month and be wondering or stressed out if I'm going to get enough sales to repeat what I had last month, right? When you have consistent recurring revenue coming in, it's going to be a lot less stressful and a lot less anxiety at the beginning of every single month, because you know that even if you make 0 new sales calls, you'll still get close to the same amount of cash that you collected the previous month. Now, I also want to mention that your community offer, your front-end offer, can be basically hands-off. Like once you get everything kind of built up on the back end, you get your coaching systems in place, it's going to kind of run itself, right? You're there to answer questions as needed, but you're not chasing after people. You're not checking in on everybody. You're not selling accountability anymore. You build a system that gets people results without you. That's what you're selling with your community. Which means that front-end program, that community program, is practically infinitely scalable. You can bring as many people in there as you want with little to no extra work on your part each week, while still being able to deliver an amazing service and get your clients incredible results, because they're buying into the system, and the system already gets people results on its own, right? And then what we do, so that's part number one, right? That's tier number one of the back-end coaching program. So what we do is we also we add on, or tack on the top of that, tier number 2, which is an upsell into a higher ticket private coaching program. So we do this for a couple of reasons, right? When we have this community program on the front end, it makes it very easy to bring people into our world, to turn a lead into a customer. Then what we want to do in the back end is have this high ticket program, a higher tier option, so that we can increase our profits on the back end, so that we can increase the average lifetime value for our clients, and also to give the select few number of clients who want it and need it more accountability or more customized programs, so that they can get even better results, or that they can just get closer to you and have more access to you, because some people just want to buy to get access to you and be closer to you, right? That's why they're buying you. They buy the coaches, not the coaching program, right? So having the 2-tiered system solves all these problems, right? So structuring your program with an Ascension offer makes it very simple and easy to understand for prospects. It makes it easy for them to take that first step and build and get into momentum with you, making it much more likely and making that prospect more open to paying you higher ticket prices down the road after you're already showing them results, you're getting them results, you're building more trust with them because they're actually working with you more closely. So they're going to be more open to paying you higher ticket prices, rather than throwing that high ticket price in them right at the very beginning when they're essentially still a warm or a cold lead, right? So your conversion rates massively skyrocket when you build your Ascension offer this way. Right? So this is the way that I have ran my previous coaching business. This is the way that I run my business now. And with my previous business, having the Ascension offer in different tiers here allowed me to scale up to 180 active clients at the peak of that business, all by myself, with no team, no assistant coaches, no virtual assistants, literally just me handling 180 people by myself. So about 140 of those were in my community tier, and about 40 of those upsold or upgraded into my one-on-one higher ticket program. So that's the Ascension offers. That's how it works. Now let's talk about how you actually make sales and convert that lead into a client. So this is basically a DM sales process. Now, the DM sales process, it also works for email too. Whatever your preference is for selling, whether it's one or the other or both, the DM sales process works through having short conversations in the DMs and then sending an offer doc to them directly in the DMs, or having a back and forth email discussion and then just sending the offer doc through email, whatever you want to work. Whatever works best for you, or both. I typically do both, but lean more towards email. So let's talk about the DM sales process now and how I created a sell by chat system. So I first took my very first ever sales call back in 2018 for my first coaching business, Weight Loss Warriors. And when I first started playing this whole online business game back in 2018, nobody ever told me that I had any other option to sign coaching clients besides doing sales calls. So I knew that if I wanted to make money, if I wanted to quit my day job, my career back then, I needed to learn how to sell. And damn it, did I ever. For about 2 to 3 years, I obsessed over sales calls. I dumped tons of money in investing into sales call coaches and sales trainers. Between January of 2018 and December of 2022, I did almost 400 sales calls on my own. I did a couple hundred sales calls for a different business that I was kind of working with just to kind of get some experience with sales calls. For my own business, I averaged just under 80% closing rate. I think it was like 78.7% or something like that on all the calls that I was doing for my business. On an average over the full term of like 4.5 years, I was doing sales calls. I did hundreds and hundreds of hours of role play practice with peers and with mentors. I actually ended up getting hired by one of my mentors to coach sales calls to his entire client base. I ran a sales team for another business as well for a very short period back in 2022. So I obsessed over sales calls. I got very, very good at them, but I got extremely burnt out with sales calls, as I'm sure you can probably relate to yourself as well. So I'll pop up a little picture here somewhere. This is what my calendar used to look like a few years ago. It was packed with sales calls every single week. Not exactly the freedom that I had in mind when I started building this online business thing. I thought I was going to get all the time in the world to do whatever I wanted, and this is what I ended up with. I basically created another day job for myself, a day job prison for myself. Except this time, instead of having just one boss who controlled my time and my calendar, I had literally hundreds of leads and hundreds of clients who controlled my calendar for me. I basically became more of a slave to my business than I was in my old career. And on top of that, my other biggest issue with sales calls is how sleazy I felt when I was objection handling people, pushing them to buy, trying to manipulate them into payments. I just hated how I felt every time I had to do a sales call and try and just push people to buy or just stay on the phone with them and just bang on them over and over again and Hulk smash them until they either bought or they hung up on me. It just didn't feel right with me. On top of that, I hated how every time I would cancel my personal plans just so I could add another sales call to my calendar, half the time people would just no-show and ghost me, right? So I got sick of it. I said no more. And mid-2022, I started to make this shift and this transition away from sales calls, away from that old business model that was stealing my freedom and mentally driving me crazy, into this freedom funnel that I was building. And part of that process was deciding to give up sales calls for good. And December 12th of 2022 was the last sales call that I ever took. And here's how I did it. So I took, like I said, I was very good at sales calls. I had my sales call script dialed in to a T. It was mastered. I knew that sales call script converted very well. So I took the sales call script that I already had, and I essentially split it into two pieces. I took the discovery phase, the first half of the sales call, and I turned that into my DM script. And I took the 6-minute pitch section out of my sales call, and I turned that into basically a Google Docs sales page. Basically is all it was. It's a 4-page document that sold my coaching for me. Actually, it's right here. This is it. This is a printout out version of a digital document that I would just send people to send the link to in the DMs or through email, right? So they would say, hey, I'm interested. I would send them a link to this document here, and they would either let me know if they were in or not. Simple as that. And through that transition of stopping sales calls, I also stopped objection handling as well. I stopped trying to push people who were not ready to buy into my coaching programs, because all that did is create bad clients and more stress for me on the back end. So giving up sales calls freed up 15 to 20 hours per week, every single week, and it took a lot of stress off my back, and it made running my business and doing sales in a more enjoyable, peaceful way, a more fun way, and which made it easier to scale the business, right? It was more time for me. It was more energy that I could put into marketing, so I could let the marketing and the content do the sales for me, so that people were pre-sold by the time they ever saw my offer doc. So that is the freedom funnel. And that's how my sell by chat system works. That is how the Ascension offers work. And that is essentially the freedom funnel that I've used for the past few years that made it possible to hit 20 to 30K per month consistently now in 2 different coaching businesses, while only working about 4 hours per day with no sales calls, no team. And the best part about all these systems here that we just went over is that once you set them up, once you get the foundations in place, everything kind of runs on autopilot, and we can just stick to those 4 simple daily actions that we talked about at the start, which is have one simple ad running on autopilot. You set it up once, it runs on its own. You don't ever have to touch it. One simple daily post, one simple daily email, one simple daily offer, and once in a while, I create a long form video like this right here. And all it takes This is all it takes. These simple steps here is all it takes to scale your business from wherever you're at now to 250K plus per year. I've done it twice myself. I've had 7 clients that I've worked with hit that milestone so far, and I have dozens of others working towards it that are on their way to it as well. And it's possible for you too. And I know we covered a lot here. I know we went over a lot of different steps and systems and strategies here, but I've literally given you an entire game plan to build this for yourself if this is the kind of business that you want for yourself, which gives you back your time, your freedom, and your peace to scale without sacrificing your profits either. So you can take this game plan here, you can run with it, you can create this yourself, or if you would like me to help you install these systems and give you the support to do this right the first time, so you can skip the months or years of trial and error and testing, then I would love to invite you to join me inside of Category Kings, which is my mentorship program where I will work with you one-on-one to build this business into your life so you have the freedom and the lifestyle that you want to enjoy without having your business take it over. So I'm going to drop a link somewhere below this video here that is going to give you all the information, the details to check it out if you're interested. All the information and details is in that document. Like I said, I don't do sales calls. I don't do any crazy applications. Literally just read the document, message me on Instagram or email if you have any questions or if you want any more information. Either way, I hope this video here was insightful for you and helpful, and hopefully opened your eyes to seeing some new ways of building a business or a coaching business that maybe you didn't know was even possible before. A new way of giving yourself the freedom back that you started this whole online business for in the first place, right? A business that is fun, enjoyable, and simple. So that's everything I wanted to go over here today. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.